Have you got the right personality to be a leader? Have you got the right amount of get up and go to start your own business? Or were you just born without those qualities that you need to be a leader? Well, this is trait theory.
Just lead.
Trait theory says that everyone has a certain set of character or personality or behavior traits that are inherent to them. Some examples of these are extroversion, how much are you the life of the party? Perfectionism, how much do you need everything to be just right? And alexithymia, this is emotional blindness. Have you got an inability to express emotions? Now, this is just a short list of a really long list of character traits that are out there that people use to assess others. There is a theory out there called great man theory, and it's something that I've done a short for in the past. And this theory states that there are a certain set of character and personality traits that a person needs in order to be a leader. And you are born with those traits and you can't change them over your life. Therefore, you're already born destined to be a great leader. My vision for this channel is to show you that leadership is not just for the elite few, but it's an endeavor for anyone who is brave enough to take up that mantle. So let's explore trait theory, its flaws and its benefits, and see what we can use out of it for our advantage. When we look at theories of leadership, you don't really have to stretch your imagination far to understand why psychologists want to assign certain traits to leadership. Everyone wants to crack the code. If you are this certain amount of traits and in this certain pattern, then you're gonna be a good leader. Simple as that. But what if you compare someone like Theresa May to Barack Obama, to Hitler, and then let's have a look at Elon Musk. They're all good leaders and effective leaders in their own right. They might not have all had pure purpose, but they're all effective at what they did. So you're going to tell me that each of those four individuals have the same character traits and personalities? No, I don't think so. You can't possibly tell me that there's one defined set of rules of what a good leader should look like. There are several tools out there that you can use to analyze your character traits and work out who you are. One of the popular ones when I was coming up through that's not used as much anymore is the Myers-Briggs personality type test. In this, like many others, you'll be asked a series of questions which will put you in a certain category of certain character traits. For example, it will label you as either extroverted or introverted. And then at the end of that process, with everything all added up, you'll be slotted into one of 16 personality types. And then using that personality type, you'll assess your strengths and your weaknesses within that personality type, and then come up with plans to improve on your weaknesses or leverage your strengths. The trouble with tests like this is that they're heavily affected by how you feel on the day, how honest you are with yourself, and they only really provide a shadow of who you are and what your personality is. Much like reading horoscopes, you could read any of the other personality types and then kind of assign yourself into those as well. They're kind of vague enough that some apply to you elsewhere rather than just that one that you've been assigned through the test. And then you ask yourself the question after you do a test like this, how fixed are the results? Well, I'll look at myself personally and I look at the extroverted and the introverted line on the Myers-Briggs test. Man, I fluctuate heavily across that. On certain days, I'm really extroverted, and then other days, I'm heavily introverted. I do sit somewhere in the middle on that line and need to understand that I fly between those two categories. But to understand the idea of character traits a little bit further and in more depth, I reviewed a couple of longitudinal studies and also a quantitative review of a series of longitudinal studies to see what they had to say. For those that don't know, a longitudinal study looks at a certain person and their psychology of whatever is being tested, and then interviews that same person or looks at that same person over the course of 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it may be, so that you can understand how psychology changes over the course of a person's life. Now, we looked at character traits in a couple of these studies, and what I found was with varying agreement between the studies, but typically all on the same page. People change. That character traits that they were assigned or had associated with them at childbirth weren't necessarily with them as they hit adulthood. That things impacted their lives, situations happened in which they changed, and the core traits that they were defined by changed over the course of their life. So you aren't really born to be anyone at all. It's the work you put in, it's the people you interact with that define the character traits that are associated with you when you start to get older. Okay, so I've been pretty negative on the idea of trait theory. If you don't fit some mold, should you then even pursue leadership? Yes, there is no mold. And likewise, if you do fit that sort of mold that people say exists, then you should just breeze through leadership and be done with it. That's also not true. You need to then keep working and improving yourself and becoming better. This is that part of the video where you like and subscribe because you've liked what I've been doing and you want to see more. Well, there's enough of that. Let's get back to regular programming. There is one positive that I do use and I encourage others to use as well when it comes to trait theory. And that is, it really improves your self-awareness. By doing tests like the Myers-Briggs test, you get insight into yourself in how you might behave and react in certain situations and scenarios. It tells you where you might be lacking and where your strengths might be. And you can use this information to really impact change in your life and get better more holistically. For example, are you someone that plans in great detail, or do you fly by the seat of your pants? Both are great qualities in leaders and you need to be able to tap into both. But if you find when you do the test that you lack in a certain area, then you found something that you need to work on. Further to your self-awareness, you'll start to understand other people a bit better by doing these tests. You will understand that that quiet person in the room that's not really saying anything, they might actually be churning away a great plan in their mind. And you, as the vocal person in the room, need to actually offer them the room to speak and give them an opportunity to share the thoughts that they're going through. Trait theory has some serious flaws, but psychologists insist on working in the binary. You either are or you are not. When humans are such complex creatures, it is fraught with danger to think that way. Understanding the behavior of others is just as complex. You can click here to see me break down some behavioral psychology concepts.